After 13 seasons, Mike McCarthy is out of Lambeau. We'll talk to ESPN's Jim Rutledge about the decision to fire him and what's next for the Pack.
And Governor-elect Tony Evers is threatening to take legal action against Republican lawmakers who are trying to limit his power before he's even sworn into office.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It is Monday, December 3rd. It has only been about 30 degrees out this morning, and guess what, folks? Not going to get much warmer than that.
No, we're talking about a 2-degree difference, and it's only going down for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Hattie is talking about a little bit of sun, though, this week, right, Hads?
Yeah, a little bit of sun later on, just not a lot today. Let's take a live look outside, though, at the WISC-TV Skycam. This is Raymond Road, and you're definitely seeing some snow covering the road, so you might want to take it a little slow this morning. There could be some slippery spots on the roadways, especially since they were all wet yesterday. Here's a look at what's happening on the Doppler track this morning. Some bands of snow still working their way through southern Wisconsin. We still had some flurries lingering here in Madison, and you may even see some flurries up towards the Dells yet this morning, but the main bands of snow are going to work their way out of the area over the next couple of hours. Temperatures, though, as I mentioned, at or below freezing. Now 30 here in Madison, still 32 in Janesville, as well as Mineral Point, 29 in the Dells. Our temperatures over the next 12 hours really aren't going to move that much. We're looking at upper 20s this morning, low 30s this afternoon. Northerly winds, though, definitely keeping a chill in the air. Here's a look at your first alert traffic this morning. We're not seeing any major issues on the Beltline just yet. Maybe a little slow inbound on East Washington. Looking around the area, though, there are some slow stretch showing up on 151 in between Verona and Mount Horeb. Chris drove in on that road, said it was a little slippery, so take it easy there. Don't see any accidents reported right now. And that's your first alert traffic.
We want to start this hour with what everyone is thinking and talking about this morning, the Packers, after the team canned Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, we'll hear from Packers president Mark Murphy and interim coach Joe Philbin this afternoon for the first time since the decision. We wanted to talk, though, with ESPN Madison's Jim Rutledge about the call to do this. Good morning. Thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we are going to hear from the CEO and the interim coach and players later today. Any kind of expectations for, or what questions would you like answered, I guess?
Why now? And there are reports out there that Brian Gutekunst, the GM, and Murphy are on the same page with this move, that they were going to move on from Mike McCarthy at the end of the year, and now was the time to do so. But what was the final straw to make this happen? How much was Mike McCarthy and his future involved in this, saying that, hey, if we know we're moving on from McCarthy, let's do it now? What about the Arizona game made it happen? Because by all accounts, that was a surprise to McCarthy, and it wasn't planned by Murphy.
Wow.
Going off of that, everyone has an opinion about this move. Some analysts you're hearing are saying the team needed a change now. Others are saying this just isn't the way you treat a seasoned Super Bowl winning coach. What is your thought on that?
It had to have gotten toxic in the locker room.
Right.
I mean, that had to be part of it. And, you know, they asked Randall Cobb after the game, and he just said, my job's to play football. And the effort from the team overall. And we'll go back to, look, Aaron Rodgers has to take some culpability in this. Mark Chmura said this on our morning show, or excuse me, on our postgame show yesterday, that, look, this is the worst he's seen Aaron Rodgers play in a long time. And this is partially on Aaron Rodgers for what's going on with this team. And that's part of what this is. The team is queuing off Aaron Rodgers, and you have to look at part of that problem. And McCarthy and Rodgers weren't playing well together as far as coach and player, and now they have to solve that.
Do you think a new head coach can really turn someone like Aaron Rodgers around that much?
You're going to have to ask Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how much they're going to involve him in the process, but it's clear that he didn't respect what McCarthy was bringing at the end of the season. And so now they have to find a guy that McCarthy's going to listen to. Will this turn into Brett Favre 2.0? Favre kind of had to have his football mortality put out in front of him before he started listening to Mike McCarthy, when he realized that, hey, I can't go out there and do what I want. At some point, I might get let go. Rodgers isn't to that point. He's the most important person to the Green Bay Packers, so he has to work with them and figure out who will he listen to as a coach.
All right, interesting comparison there, Rodgers and Favre. Jim, thanks so much for waking up with us this morning.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks for having me.
Good luck at Lambeau today. All right, 6:04 right now. Governor-elect Tony Evers says he could file lawsuits if the Republican-controlled legislature goes through with limiting his power. A public hearing on the bills to do that happens today at the state capitol, and that's where we find our Josh Sprider live this morning with more on that lame duck session. Hi, Josh.
Good morning, Danica. Evers claims those proposals are an attempt to override the system by Republicans of the election from last month. The proposals that were publicly released Friday will be discussed by the Joint Finance Committee today and could be voted on by the full legislature as soon as tomorrow. They include bills to scale back the power of the governor's office and give the legislature the ability to use a different lawyer other than the attorney general in some cases, challenging state laws. There are also proposals to limit early voting in Wisconsin and move the date of the 2020 presidential primary. Speaking yesterday, Evers says while he is willing to work with the Republicans, he won and they aren't going to change that fact. Today's public hearing begins at 12:30 here at the state capitol, and then that so-called Respect the Vote rally starts here at the state capitol tonight at 5:30.
And we will certainly continue to follow all of those developments. Josh Spreiter reporting live from the Capitol. Thank you, Josh. Madison police are trying to find the person responsible for firing shots into a house and a car on the east side overnight. No one was hurt in this situation, but just after midnight, an unoccupied home on Willie Street was hit by a bullet, as well as a car around the block on South Brearley Street near McPike Park. No one, again, was hurt. Madison police are still looking for a suspect. Anyone with information should call the department.
Madison city leaders are talking about suing one of their neighbors over a piece of land they say belongs to the city. The dispute is over about 150 acres of property near Yahara Hills Golf Course that was recently annexed by the village of McFarland. Now, that land used to be part of Blooming Grove, which will be absorbed into the city of Madison by the end of 2027. Mayor Paul Soglin and two other alders want to authorize legal action against McFarland, saying the village can't extend past that boundary line without violating the annexation agreement. The city could also sue the two property owners who petitioned to be part of McFarland in the first place. The Plan Commission will take up that resolution tonight before it goes to the full council tomorrow. Madison's public market might be setting up shop in a new location when it opens sometime in 2020. Mayor Soglin will talk to reporters later this morning about some major changes to the $13 million project. The market was supposed to set up shop at the corner of East Washington Avenue and 1st Street, but Madison.com is reporting that might change and that the city is dropping its bid to buy land there. Instead, the market might be going up at the corner of North 1st and Johnson Streets. We're going to go bring you the latest on those developments later this morning over on channel3000.com.
Madison's Catholic community will have a chance to pay their respects to the late Bishop Robert Morlino later today. A vigil and visitation will be held for Bishop Morlino at Holy Name Heights from 1 until 7. Morlino died at the age of 71 after suffering an apparent heart attack while undergoing medical tests a couple weeks ago. His funeral will be held tomorrow at St. Maria Goretti's on Madison's west side. Vicar General Monsignor James Bartilla is serving as administrator for the Madison Diocese until Pope Francis appoints a new bishop. That process could take up to a year.
New this morning, a domestic violence shelter that served Walworth County for the past 4 decades has a plan for a new location in downtown Elkhorn. The Janesville Gazette reports New Beginnings APFV hopes to move into a building downtown donated by Aurora Medical Group. If the move is approved by the city, that space would include 4 to 5 efficiency shelter apartments for women and children trying to get away from domestic violence. The group wants a space in Elkhorn because that city's residents have to drive 30 to 50 miles to get to the nearest shelter right now. 6:08 your time now. If you are still trying to knock stuff off your Christmas shopping list, we are talking to the experts this morning to help Danica out about how to make sure whatever's under the tree for the kiddos this holiday season helps with brain development and education.
Before that, say goodbye to temperatures above freezing because we won't be seeing them for at least the next couple of days. Hattie's got more on the week's cold weather when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. We still have just a few flurries flying down here on the west side of town, but no additional accumulation is expected for Madison. We're going to escape this storm with very minimal snow cover once again. Just about an inch on the ground across most of southern Wisconsin. Some slightly higher amounts through the central part of the state where they saw more snow from this last system. Take a look though at the current picture on the radar map. You can see the snow just in the far southern part of the state. There may still be a few flurries that aren't actually showing up on the map as you head back up towards the Dells, but very minimal impact for the rest of the morning. Keep in mind though, some of the roads may be a little slippery. They may be snow covered and they were wet definitely yesterday. So any of that road that didn't dry out before we turned below freezing is going to be a little slick. Some breaks in the cloud cover across the Badger State, but you can see a pretty thick deck of clouds sitting across Minnesota and back into the Dakotas this morning. I really think those holes in the cloud cover are going to fill in as we go through the morning here in southern Wisconsin. Temperatures across the region really don't cool off that much. Looking off to the north and west, we're at 30 here in Madison, 31 in La Crosse, only 27 in Minneapolis, and 25 in Superior. Here's a look more closely at those numbers for southern Wisconsin. 29 in the Dells, 31 in Lone Rock, and 30 in Platteville. Winds are from the north, though, around 10 miles an hour, so wind chill is going to be a factor today. That northerly wind getting a little breezy at times. Wind chills right now are in the 20s. But at times today, they may only be in the teens. Here's a look at your wind chill forecast for the next 12 hours. Teens to low 20s is all we can expect today. Future track, not getting very excited about that snow that we have here in southern Wisconsin this morning. It moved it out a little too early. But for the rest of the day, not going to see any more snow move in, just cloudy skies. Temperatures only moving a couple of degrees today. We're back up to 32 this afternoon. Heading into this evening, it'll stay pretty chilly. We're likely to start out around 20 tomorrow morning across southern Wisconsin. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. We have pretty cold conditions heading our way for the rest of the week. We will see a little bit more sunshine, though, on Wednesday with a high of 28. A cold front brings a small chance for flurries Thursday, but you'll definitely notice the cool down on Friday with highs only in the lower 20s. Let's get a look at traffic maps now this morning. Josh Tim has all the details. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, you're going to want to take it easy this morning. There's snow on the roads and things are pretty slick out there. No delays showing up on the Beltline, although the westbound side is continuing to get busier. Looking at other roads here in Dane County, 151 is moving slower than usual between Mount Horeb and Fitchburg, planning a little extra time there. No delays showing up downtown around the Capitol Square and UW campus. Volume not a factor at this point. And other main routes heading into Madison, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no major issues. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you very much, Josh, and thank you, Hattie. So I have not even started the gift shopping for a number of people on my list. And parents, if you are in the same boat, you might want to reconsider what you get or not get for your kids.
All the smartphones, gaming systems, electronics, they might not be the best route. Dr. Marcia Slattery joins us from UW Health this morning to talk about how to balance out your child's holiday gifts. Good morning.
Good morning.
What I really liked about our conversations prior to being on air is you compared this to a diet, a balanced diet.
Right, right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Right. Well, what I talk to parents about is don't rely just on what your kids put on their shopping list, right, or their letters to Santa. It's very similar of would you let your kids make up your grocery list when you want their foods for the week? You know what they're going to select, and we know what they need, and it's similar for their shopping as you move out and you're moving forward to what you're going to get them. So make sure that you have a balance of different activities and different things that their brain is also going to have stimulation for. That's important for brain development and healthy development.
And sometimes technology and those goals can go a little hand in hand. So let's say, you know, we do get something for our kids that maybe is a little indulgent, for lack of a better term. What kind of rules do we need to be laying out right from the get-go?
Yeah, electronics are not bad, and they're here to stay, right? There are a lot of very good things about it. But the important thing is that parents should be thoughtful about what electronics they're going to introduce into their home, and importantly, what the rules are for use before they actually give them to their child. Things like when they're going to be able to use it and when they're not supposed to use it, how long they use it each day, for parents to be familiar about how to put on blocking sites, how to monitor the internet use, etc. And really the important message is have the variety. The child's brain is going through massive changes throughout childhood and adolescence. It needs a lot of different types of stimulation. I call it like cross-training for your brain. It taps into creativity and communication with other people and physical exercise. All of those things are important to really maximize the connections and flexibility in a child's brain.
For some parents who are looking at their kids' Christmas lists and seeing video game, video game, video game,
Exactly.
what are some suggestions to sort of diversify that?
Well, again, as I mentioned before, think of things on the list and have your kids be part of that too. If they're putting their lists together about saying, just like we have to have balanced foods that we eat, it's important that we have balanced activities. So things like physical activities that they can do inside and outside. Things that are creative, like art and
Yes.
hobbies and projects and things like that, that really tap into the creative part of the brain, as well as things that require more interpersonal interactions in person, not just online gaming. So that might be board games or organized activities where they really have to learn to interact, which we know is very important for development of social skills in kids. So maximizing all of those kinds of things and variety really will help the brain grow stronger and have flexibility in the long run. And remember, what you put under the tree is going to be there for the rest of the year.
Right. Right. It could affect many Christmases to come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And just, we have about 20 seconds left, Dr. Slattery. Is there something with the anxiety portion of this that you wanted to mention before you head out, as far as, you know, putting electronics in the hands of our kids and what that can do?
I think, again, what we know is that too much electronics, there are many studies that have come out to show the detrimental effect of that, can contribute to problems with attention and learning, more anxiety, irritability, behavioral outbursts. So again, the importance is moderating it, keeping it in balance, and being smart about it. If I go back to my food analogy, for younger kids especially, think of electronics like dessert. It comes after you have the mainstay of these other activities for them to learn how to integrate, but in a very healthy manner.
Some really good tips there. Dr. Slattery, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Pleasure to be here.
Always good to see you. Hopefully Santa was paying attention. All right, there is a new plan in the city to tackle violence and treat it more like a health problem than actual crime issues. We're checking out the Violence Prevention Coalition and its approach to making Madison a safer place. That's coming up.
And I might need an extra fleece blanket to walk around the newsroom this morning. Highs outside are not breaking above freezing for the rest of the week. Hattie has the details in her first alert forecast. That's next on News 3 This Morning.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Your first alert weather forecast today will show you that there still is a little bit of light snow falling across far southern Wisconsin this morning. We still have some flurries here in the Madison area as well that aren't showing up on the radar map. A little bit of fresh snow overnight may make for some slippery spots on the roads. Current temperatures are at or below freezing, so some of those wet roadways yesterday may turn into slippery conditions this morning. Wind chills are in the 20s early today, so we'll have to bundle up. We definitely have a cold forecast coming up. Highs today will only reach 32 degrees, not very far from where we are right now. We're likely to have mostly cloudy skies through the day. The rest of our week's forecast looks pretty cold as well, with highs only in the 20s as we head through the upcoming weekend. Have a wonderful day.
All right, Hattie, thank you so much. So we take a lot of time to talk about bullies, but what if your child is the one bullying others? SSM health psychologist Britt Kuhlman says that can be even harder for parents to come to terms with.
We feel like we're not doing something right as a parent. Definitely not always the case, right? There's so many things that could be going on with a child that's leading to them feeling like they need to be the bully in a situation.
Kuhlman says the key to working through any bullying behavior is not jumping right to a discipline or punishment. She says just because you talk about bullying regularly and stress the importance of not being a bully does not mean the underlying issues are being addressed. Simultaneously, we should try to understand what's going on with children who are bullies and that consequences are not necessarily going to change anything. If the child is punished without sharing his or her side of the story, chances are they think a parent is not going to support them and they might just shut down. We have a lot on bullying and other mental health related topics up on our Time to Talk page. That's also where you can find information on our new Be You effort, encouraging kids, teens, and the rest of us to be comfortable in our own skin. Just head on over to channel3000.com/timeforkids for the details.
There is a new plan in the works here in Dane County to treat violence like a public health problem. The State Journal reports Madison and Dane County are teaming up for the new Violence Prevention Coalition. The idea is to treat gun violence like it's an infectious disease, one that needs a coordinated, long-term, data-based response, similar to smoking or HIV/AIDS. Leaders say this new approach will put the focus on the roots of the problem, like how poverty, racism, or family issues might lead to violence in the community. The city of Milwaukee created a similar effort called Blueprint for Peace back in 2017.
There is a growing number of scam reports targeting senior citizens in our area, some of them for something as mundane as a printer repair that can lose a victim more than $75,000. Now, whether it's by internet or over the phone, Madison police are getting more and more of those scam reports about people robbing older residents of tens of thousands of dollars. And it can be pretty tough for police to track down these scammers because they can be anywhere.
It makes me worried that these poor victims may end up out on the street because the dollar amounts that we're seeing there, sometimes those are entire life savings that people have lost.
Only on News 3, our colleague Madeline O'Neill is going to be sharing more on exactly what kind of scams police are seeing and what we can all do to keep our money safe. She'll also introduce us to one savvy woman who was fortunate enough to catch the scam before paying dearly for it. That's tonight at 10.
These sorts of scams are so common these days. It's just a matter of time before you interact with somebody who's trying to do that.
No, absolutely. Especially, you know, if you have older relatives, this is definitely a report you're going to want to keep an eye on.
Tonight at 10.
Yeah.
All right, 6:25 your time now. Wisconsin is bracing for even more farm bankruptcies to come in 2019. We're taking a look at how many farms we've lost so far this year in the state and how more federal help might not be stretching far enough.
And the state's education department's talking about getting more kids college credit while they're still in high school. We'll share more on that program when News 3 This Morning returns.
Thousands of farmers are getting federal help as the president's trade war continues, but it might not be enough.
There is some controversy building ahead of a lame duck session at the state capitol this week. I'm Josh Rutter live with a preview of what's expected coming up.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It's 6:29 now on this Monday, December 3rd. And if you think Josh looks cold this morning, he's only going to get colder. It is not going to be a pretty week temperature-wise.
No, we ain't seen nothing yet. Hattie is outside just basking in the balminess that is 30 today because, Hattie, you're saying it's going to get a lot colder.
Yeah, it is. We're stuck in another cold weather pattern this week. Pretty quiet one, though, so we actually have some sunshine a bit later on in the week. Let's take a look, though, at what's happening right now. I wanted to show you the live picture from the WISC-TV Skycam. That's looking out over Raymond Road. A little tough to see in some spots. Looks like travel's moving okay, but there's definitely some snow on the road, so take it easy this morning. There could be some slippery areas. Doppler track is showing you that the bands of snow are working their way through southern Wisconsin. They'll exit the area pretty quickly this morning. Some flurries, though, may still linger even as we head towards midday today. Here's a look at our current temperatures. Most spots are below freezing this morning, so again, there may be slippery spots on the roads or sidewalks. Here's your forecast as you head out the door today. Temperatures are right around 30 degrees and we'll pretty much stay there through the day. Just a high of 32 this afternoon. Not quite as cold as it will be later this week. Here's a look at your traffic maps early today. Still quiet conditions on the Beltline and in the downtown areas. No accidents or slowdowns being reported there. There are still some slow spots, though, in between Mount Horeb and Verona on 151, so be aware of that. There could be some slippery stretches on that highway. Otherwise, no accidents to report. And that's your First Alert traffic.
All right, Hattie, thank you so much. There is a public hearing today at the state capitol where Republicans will start working to limit the new administration's powers. The governor-elect says he might sue those lawmakers if they go through with it. Josh Spreiter's live at the Capitol this morning with the details. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Right now, state Democrats are speaking out against that session this morning. They believe it could result in new laws weakening the power of Governor-elect Tony Evers and Attorney General-elect Josh Kaul. The bills were made public on Friday. Evers calls the proposal an embarrassment that don't show what democracy is about. He's currently looking at ways to ensure they're not passed, and he says he's confident he'll be able to convince Republicans that it is a bad idea. Republican leaders say the proposals will balance state government. A Respect My Vote rally is planned for here on the state capitol tonight at 5:30, and later today they'll also have that public hearing, which is set to begin later this morning. Ladies.
We will certainly keep an eye on all of it. Josh Spreiter reporting live from the Capitol this morning. Thank you, Josh.
$10 million in federal help is on its way to farmers here in Wisconsin, but you'd be surprised how little that might actually help. Wisconsin Public Radio reports that money is from a Department of Ag program to help offset any losses from President Trump's tariffs. More than 4,800 farms will receive a check. The average amount, though, is right around $2,000. In the last round of federal aid sent to farmers this August, WPR reports 11 farms in Wisconsin got $50 grand each, while another 237 farms got less than 100. The overall environment for farmers doesn't bring much optimism either. Agriculture experts are predicting there will be more bankruptcy cases filed next year after that rate doubled in the past 4 years. WPR reports in the past year, Wisconsin led the Midwest in bankruptcies. That's thanks in part to years of low prices for milk, corn, and soybeans. Wisconsin has lost 584 dairy farms since January.
Construction could start as soon as this spring on another apartment complex on Madison's Far East Side. This one would be on Penny Street, not far from the new Royster Corners development that's going up on Cottage Grove Road. A Madison-based company wants to put up 88 units of apartments with underground parking as part of the building. That application will be considered by the city's Plan Commission tonight, and if it's approved, it would be ready for tenants by spring of 2020. A reminder that the Penny Library in that neck of the woods is closed this morning. It's in the process of moving into a temporary space in the old Ace Hardware store on Cottage Grove Road. Staff expects it to open in that space at the start of the new year, and they'll likely be there until 2020 when the library will permanently move into the Royster Corners building.
If you are looking for easy ways to save on your child's college tuition, earning some of the credits while they're in high school is a good option. And today, the Department of Public Instruction is working on changing the requirements for those programs. They're setting rules to clarify deadlines for enrollment, the number of credits per course, and how schools can reimburse students for any costs. There is a public hearing on those policies today if you'd like to learn more. That's running from 2:30 until 4 at DPI's headquarters on South Webster Street.
A program supporting low-income and first-generation college students at UW-Madison is celebrating 25 years in existence this week. The Center for Educational Opportunity is holding an event to mark that 25 years of helping more than 1,600 graduates, including some students with disabilities. The program has also supported nearly 3,000 scholars. This celebration takes place on Friday. It is free, and it starts at 6 p.m. at the Memorial Union. Thousands of extra dollars are going to the Rape Crisis Center here in Dane County this morning, and it's all because of a specially crafted beer. Giant Jones Brewery in downtown Madison is donating 100% of profits from its Credible Pale Ale to the Dane County Rape Crisis Center. So far, the beer has raised nearly $4,000. The owner of the brewery, Jessica Jones, is hoping to raise at least $10,000 for the cause. Jones says the beer not only raises funds, but it also can help start an important conversation. You can find that Credible Pale Ale at the Giant Jones Brewery tasting room, as well as at bars and stores, including Star Liquor, Off-Broadway Draft House, and Vintage Brewing Company.
Pretty soon, you're going to be able to pop into one of your favorite Madison microbreweries next time you're on vacation up in Door County. The Isthmus reports the owner of One Barrel Brewing over on Atwood is eyeing up a building in Egg Harbor for a second location. It's going to have the same business plan with the concept of a single barrel brew house plus an outdoor beer garden and a patio. Renovations started just last month. There's no word yet when that spot will open.
Your time right now is 6:35, and we are waiting to hear more from the mayor about some big changes coming to plans for Madison's first ever permanent public market. We'll update you on that coming up in the morning sprint.
And Aaron Rodgers might have gotten the birthday present he wanted this weekend. Not a win, but a new coach. More on Mike McCarthy's removal and what's next for the Pack when News 3 This Morning continues. Welcome back. So this might be adding insult to cold temperatures that we're seeing this week, but Julie Hogue posted this picture on Facebook. I had to share it. Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
I think this is of the Sauk Prairie Bike Trail from June. Oh, what I would do for some June temperatures right now.
Some bike-worthy weather. Yeah, it sounds pretty nice right about now. So, Julie, thank you for the flashback. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Use the hashtag MyNews3Morning so we can share our favorites. Okay, Packers president Mark Murphy and interim head coach Joe Philbin will talk to reporters this afternoon for the first time since the franchise fired head coach Mike McCarthy. The Packers lost to the Cardinals 20-17 yesterday. Arizona has never beat the Packers at Lambeau and had only won 2 other games this season. This loss, though, all but solidified the fact that Green Bay will not make it into the playoffs this year. Reports out this morning say Mike McCarthy could be heading to Cleveland to replace the Browns head coach, who was fired in October. Jim Rutledge with ESPN Madison threw out names like Alabama's Nick Saban, Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma, and Josh Daniels with the Patriots as potential replacements in Green Bay.
Now, it hasn't been the best season for the Wisconsin Badgers either, but fans have at least one team to follow into the postseason as the Badgers get ready for their bowl game. We now know the Badgers will be bowling in the Bronx, playing in the Pinstripe Bowl against Miami for a rematch of last year's Orange Bowl. The Badgers won that game 34-24. Even though Wisconsin finished the regular season a disappointing 7-5, they will be playing in a bowl game for the 17th straight year. They'll also be looking for their 5th straight bowl win. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at noon.
And check this out, some friendly sibling rivalry in Sunday Night Football. The Steelers and Chargers met up in Pittsburgh last night, which means 2 of the 3 Watt brothers played on opposite sides of the field. A lot of talk about this in the pregame show. Now, the third former Badger, JJ, tweeted out a picture of Derek and TJ's jerseys right there before the game, pondering which one to sport during the actual game. It was the first time Derek and TJ have played one another in the NFL. After the Chargers won 33-30, the brothers met on the field again to sign a jersey for one another. Pretty cool there.
I love that. You can't go wrong with a J.J. Watt story.
No, or a Watt brothers now, all of them. Former Badgers, good stuff.
That's true. All right, 6:41 your time now. Bundle up, folks. We have a week or more of colder than normal temperatures, starting out with the warmest day today, right around the freezing mark. Hattie's going to update your forecast that's coming up.
First, it is December 3rd, and we want to say happy birthday to Merritt and all the other kiddos turning 3 today. Look at that baby shark right there. Thanks for celebrating with us here on News 3 this morning.
Buddy.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Your first alert weather forecast, taking a look at snow on the ground this morning across the Badger State. About an inch here in Madison at best. The grass in some spots is not even completely covered, but you can see slightly higher amounts of snow on the ground from that last weekend storm through the central part of the state. A bullseye of some heavier snow in southeastern Minnesota. But for us, here's a look at some of the snow totals that we have gathered so far this morning. About 6 inches in Toma. Nearly 6 in Westfield. The Val had 4 inches of snow, Ripon 3, and again in Madison, less than a half an inch officially at the airport. Here's a look at what's left on the radar map this morning. We have some flurries here in Madison, but the main bands of snow are working their way through the area pretty quickly this morning. But keep in mind, areas south and especially south and east of Madison, you'll likely be dealing with a little bit of snow yet as you head to work this morning. Otherwise, looking off to the north and west, things are pretty quiet. So just some flurries lingering for the afternoon. Future track will show you northerly winds behind this cold front and a lot of clouds in the area. That's going to lead to a pretty chilly afternoon, and colder Canadian air moving into the region will keep things on the cold side as we head through this week, with temperatures topping below normal, even for early December standards. Here's a look at airport delays, though. Relatively quiet conditions. We still have some flurries here in Madison. No delays at the Madison airport or in Milwaukee or Chicago just yet. Keep an eye on Chicago with some snow in the area this morning. Things may slow down there. Otherwise, across the country, no delays to report right now. And today's actually a pretty good travel day. That snow will be winding down and working its way through the Great Lakes region. And there's some rain in the forecast for parts of Florida, but most of the rest of the country actually looking pretty dry and quiet. You'll see a lot of blue on this map, indicating that the northern tier of the country is cooling down. We are included in that cool down, with temperatures only topping in the low 30s today. A live look from the Edgewater Skycam here in Madison. It's a cloudy start, a few flurries. 30 degrees is our temperature here in the capital city. 30 as well in Watertown this morning. As you get closer to the Mississippi River Valley, temperatures stay in the low 30s. North winds, though, making it feel a little colder outside. Here's a look at those current wind chill readings. 22 here in Madison, 19 for wind chill in Viroqua this morning, 22 as well in Platteville. Here's a look at your pinpoint city forecast highs. We have highs only in the low 30s today. 31 in New Glarus, 31 as well in Evansville and Stoughton. This is the warmest day of the week as well. We're looking at a high of 31 in Prairie du Chien. Fenimore tops at 30 degrees, and to the north, 30 seems to be a pretty popular number. All the way from Mesita over to Princeton, temperatures top right around 30 degrees. Here in Madison, we're looking at high temperatures, again, right around 32 this afternoon. Mostly cloudy skies sticking with us through the day today. Here's a look at that extended forecast. It's actually pretty quiet around here. No major storms moving in, but it does look pretty chilly. We're looking at highs only in the low 20s by the end of the week. Brr. Oh. Here's Jack in Lodi. This might be a Christmas card picture.
I know, he's so ready.
Yeah. Not for that cold weather, though. Needs a jacket, buddy.
There's already presents under that tree. That's pretty impressive.
Prepared.
He's ready to go. He's got enough fur.
Yeah.
That's true. And he's inside by the fire.
Yeah.
He'll be all right.
Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next.
6:51, time now for the morning sprint. Hattie says we are hanging on to temperatures in the 30s for one more day before things get abnormally cold.
And Josh Spreiter is live at the Capitol this morning ahead of a protest over attempts to limit Governor-elect Tony Evers' powers. But we start up in Green Bay, where we're expecting to hear from the Packers president and interim head coach after Mike McCarthy was fired yesterday. That decision comes after the Packers lost an embarrassing game to the Cardinals at Lambeau this weekend. McCarthy has taken the Packers to the playoffs 8 of his last 9 seasons, including the Super Bowl title in 2010. The struggles started to come to fruition last year, though, when the team had its first losing season, since 2008.
I'm Josh Spreiter, live at the state capitol this morning, where there is some controversy building ahead of a public hearing set for today. This is as the legislature is expected to kick off a so-called lame duck session before Governor Scott Walker leaves office. State Democrats are speaking out against that session, which could result in new laws that weaken the power of Governor-elect Tony Evers and Attorney General-elect Josh Kaul. Evers calls the proposals an embarrassment that don't show what democracy is about. Republican leaders say the proposals will balance state government. A Respect My Vote rally is planned for tonight outside the Capitol, protesting what GOP lawmakers are hoping to accomplish. A vote on the bills is scheduled for tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Josh. Madison police are trying to find the person responsible for firing multiple shots into a house and a car on the east side overnight. No one was hurt, but an unoccupied home on Willie Street was hit, and then a car around the block on South Brearley Street was also hit. That's near McPike Park. Anyone with information on this situation should call the department.
There is a new plan in the works here in Dane County to treat violence like a public health problem. The State Journal reports Madison and Dane County are teaming up for the new Violence Prevention Coalition to create a coordinated, long-term, data-driven response to gun violence. Leaders say this new approach puts the focus on the roots of the problem, like how poverty, racism, or family issues might lead to violence in the community.
And this morning, some light snow still falling across parts of southern Wisconsin. Keep in mind that some of the roads may be a little slippery as you head to work this morning. Temperatures are going to stay pretty close to the freezing point today, but a north wind will keep a wind chill in the air. And that's your first alert forecast.
Thank you very much, Hattie. People living in Alaska are recovering after the state's most damaging earthquake in 50 years. The magnitude 7 quake lasted about 30 seconds on Friday morning. More than 650 aftershocks continued through the weekend, rocking the rest of South Central Alaska, I should say. The Federal Highway Administration is sending $5 million in emergency funds to help pay for all of the road work.
George H.W. Bush will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda in Washington, D.C. starting this evening, so the public can say goodbye to their 41st president. A funeral service is scheduled for Wednesday, which has been declared a national day of mourning. President Bush will be buried on Thursday in Texas on the grounds of his presidential library next to his wife Barbara and their daughter Robin. Governor Walker has ordered flags to fly at half-staff in his honor until sunset on December 30th.
Madison's Catholic community will have a chance to pay their respects to the late Bishop Robert Morlino today. The public is welcome to come out to a vigil and visitation over at Holy Name Heights. That goes from 1 until 7. Morlino died at the age of 71 after suffering an apparent heart attack while undergoing medical tests a couple weeks ago. His funeral will be held tomorrow at St. Maria Goretti's on Madison's west side.
$10 million in federal help is on its way to farmers here in Wisconsin. Wisconsin Public Radio reports that money is from a Department of Ag program to help offset any losses from President Trump's tariffs. More than 4,800 farms will receive a check, the average amount right around $2,000. In the last round of federal aid sent to farmers this August, 11 farms in Wisconsin got $50,000 each, while another 237 farms got less than 100.
Agriculture experts are predicting farms will file more bankruptcy cases next year here in Wisconsin after that rate doubled over the past 4 years. Wisconsin Public Radio is reporting in the past year the state has led the Midwest in bankruptcies. That's thanks in part to years of low prices for commodities like milk, corn, and soybeans. Wisconsin has lost more than 580 dairy farms since the start of the year.
Madison city leaders are talking about suing one of their neighbors over a piece of land they say belongs to the city. The dispute is over about 150 acres of property near Yahara Hills Golf Course that was recently annexed by the village of McFarland. Mayor Paul Soglin and 2 alders want to authorize legal action against McFarland, saying that village can't extend past the boundary line without violating the annexation agreement.
We are expecting to learn more about some significant changes for Madison's permanent public market later today. Mayor Paul Soglin will talk with reporters later this afternoon, or later this morning, I should say, about the $13 million project. That market was initially going to be built at the corner of East Washington and First Streets, but Madison.com is reporting that might move down the road to the corner of North First and Johnson Streets instead.
Construction could start as soon as this spring on another development on the east side. There's an apartment complex going up on Pinney Street, not far from the new Roysters Corners development on Cottage Grove Road. A Madison-based company wants to add an 88-unit apartment building with underground parking there. The city's plan commission is going to take a look at that project tonight.
6:57 right now. Let's get one more check on traffic this morning with Josh Tim. Hi, Josh.
Yeah, it's a little slick this morning. Just make sure you plan a few minutes extra when you head out the door. Still not looking too bad on the Beltline, though. No delays showing up from end to end. Inbound Sean Nolan, you're tapping the brakes at Rimrock and then again at Olin Avenue heading into downtown. 151 is moving slower than usual between Mount Horeb and Fitchburg. Plan on a little extra time, but other main routes moving into Madison are moving along at their posted speeds with no major issues. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh.
And our forecast this morning, we have cloudy skies. Light snow is tapering off here in southern Wisconsin, but still some lingering flurries, especially in Madison. Temperatures will only climb a couple of degrees today. We're looking at a high of 32. That's near normal for this time of the year, but the rest of the week does look colder.
Yeah, definitely grab the coat. We will keep you up to date on the lame duck session happening at the Capitol later today.